Imagine this, a book hidden for centuries, whispered about in secret chambers, dismissed by many, feared by others. And yet, when you open its pages, it feels as if you are stepping into another world. The Book of Enoch, a forbidden scripture, a record of visions so dark, so unsettling, that even today it shakes the foundations of those who dare to read it. You see, Enoch was not just a man. He was the great-grandfather of Noah, a prophet who walked so closely with God that he was taken from this earth, spared from death itself. But before his departure, he was given visions. Visions of a truth buried beneath the dust of time. A truth about why hell exists. And here is where the story turns. Because hell, according to Enoch, was never meant for humanity. No, it was forged as a prison, an eternal abyss, a furnace of judgment prepared for those beings who once walked in light, angels who chose to betray the order of creation. Picture it like this: heavenly beings descending into the shadows of the earth. They were not demons at first. They were watchers, angels assigned to watch over mankind. But they looked upon the daughters of men, and desire burned within them. They crossed a line they were never meant to cross. They left their place of purity, stepped into corruption, and in doing so, they dragged humanity down with them. But it wasn't only desire. No, what makes this story so haunting is what they taught. They did not simply fall in lust. They opened forbidden vaults of knowledge. They handed humanity secrets we were never meant to hold. Weapons of war, sorceries of control, arts of seduction, the mapping of the stars to manipulate destiny. Imagine knowledge too heavy for fragile hands. Knowledge that fractures the soul when misused. That was the gift and the curse. And here the Book of Enoch whispers a chilling truth. Because of these angels, the very soil of the earth became soaked in corruption. Men learned to kill, to dominate, to control one another. Women learned arts of deception and seduction. The balance of creation collapsed, and the cries of the innocent reached the heavens. Pause for a moment. Think about this. Have you ever wondered why hell is described not just as fire, but as chains, as a place of confinement? It is because it was designed as a cosmic prison, not originally for you, not for me, but for them. The angels who betrayed their trust, the ones who taught us how to sin. And this is where the story hooks you deeper. Because if hell was made for them, what does that mean for us, who embraced the very sins they introduced? What happens to humanity when we take their forbidden lessons and make them our way of life? This is not just history. This is a mirror, a prophecy, a warning. And as you listen, you'll begin to feel that what Enoch saw was not simply ancient, but terrifyingly present. So let us walk together through this vision, step by step, into the abyss, into the prison where fire meets eternity. And maybe, just maybe, you will understand why hell exists and who it was truly made for. Now let us go deeper. Imagine the night sky, stars burning with eternal light. From those stars came the Watchers, 200 angels descending onto the earth, shining at first, glorious in appearance, but with hearts that began to tremble with forbidden desire. They gathered on Mount Hermon. Picture the scene, a summit, touched by mist and silence, where these celestial beings made a pact. They swore an oath, binding themselves together, declaring they would not turn back from their decision. It was rebellion wrapped in unity. And the leader of this descent, Azazel, spoke with fiery conviction, persuading the others that if they fell, they would fall as one. And so, they came. Angels stepping into the dust of earth, abandoning the brightness of heaven. They took wives from among the daughters of men. They crossed a boundary written into the very fabric of creation, and the union produced giants, Nephilim, creatures of immense size, of terrifying hunger, who devoured the labor of mankind until the earth groaned under their weight. But worse than their offspring was their teaching, because these angels brought knowledge, not wisdom, knowledge twisted, knowledge poisoned. They taught men the art of forging weapons, blades, spears, instruments of bloodshed. They taught women the art of adornment, the use of makeup, enchantments. To seduce and ensnare, they revealed the movement of the stars, not for wonder or worship, but to manipulate, to predict destinies, to control fate itself. Pause and feel this. Knowledge can be light, but it can also be shadow. Imagine fire. In the hands of one who seeks warmth, it gives life. But in the hands of one who seeks power, it destroys cities. That is what the Watchers gave us, fire in the wrong hands. And so, the world began to crumble. Violence filled the earth. Men turned against men. The innocent cried out. Mothers wept as their children were consumed by the Nephilim. Blood stained the soil, and the heavens could not remain silent. Enoch describes how the archangels looked upon the earth and trembled. Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Uriel. They saw the corruption spreading like a disease, a shadow covering the face of the earth. And they carried humanity's cries before the throne of the Most High. And then, judgment was decreed. A prison must be prepared, a place of chains, of fire, of eternal confinement, a place unlike any other, a cosmic abyss, and its first inhabitants would not be men, but angels. Think about that for a moment. Hell was not humanity's original destiny. It was built as a response to a cosmic betrayal. It was designed as a cage for beings of glory who chose darkness, who traded light for desire, who traded their place in heaven for chains in the abyss. And here is the haunting part. If angels, with all their strength and wisdom, could fall so far, what about us? If they were not spared, if they were cast into the pit for teaching humanity how to sin, what happens to those who embrace the lessons they left behind? The Book of Enoch tells us plainly, those angels await a day of great judgment. They are bound, chained beneath mountains, awaiting fire. And their prison, hell, stands as a monument to justice, a warning carved into eternity. But here is the question I leave echoing in your mind. If hell was made for them, why do we still feel its fire reaching for us? Could it be that by holding onto their teachings, by repeating their sins, humanity has chained itself to the same fate? The story is not just about angels, it is about us. And as we move deeper, you will see that what Enoch revealed is not only a story of the past, it is a prophecy of the future. Enoch is taken higher, lifted beyond the veil of the sky, his spirit carried by the hand of angels into places no mortal eyes were ever meant to see. And as he looks down, he sees it, a pit, vast, endless, a chasm that swallows light itself. Imagine standing at the edge of a canyon that has no bottom, darkness spiraling down into infinity, the air heavy, suffocating, as if the very ground trembles in fear. This is the prison, the abyss, the place carved into creation as the cage of the Watchers. Enoch describes it as a place of fire and ice, of shadows and flame, of chains that cannot be broken. He sees angels bound, their once radiant faces twisted with terror. He hears the echoes of their cries, voices that once sang hymns of glory, now drowned in endless lamentation. And above them, the heavens sealed shut. No escape, no mercy. And then Enoch hears the decree, a voice like thunder. This is the place prepared for the angels who taught men to sin. Here they will remain until the day of judgment. Here their fire will never cease. Here their chains will never be broken. Pause and let that settle. Hell was not an accident. It was not chaos. It was architecture, a deliberate creation of justice, measured and exact, designed to contain beings who could not be contained on earth. And the question strikes you, why chains? Why fire? Why this imagery? Because what they unleashed on humanity was not only desire, but domination. Fire is passion unleashed. Chains are freedom stolen. What they gave to us became their punishment, every gift twisted into torment. Weapons, they now burn in fire that never ends. seduction. They now sit in shame that never lifts. Knowledge of the stars? They now gaze into a sky they will never touch again. Their punishment mirrors their sin. But here lies the terror for us. Humanity learned from them, and though the angels were bound, their teachings remained. Think about it. The weapons of war, still with us. The arts of deception, still alive. The desire to control fate through stars and signs, still practiced. The curse has not faded. It echoes through time, generation after generation. And so Enoch sees more. He sees the Nephilim, the giants, destroyed by the flood. But their spirits, restless, denied both heaven and earth, become wandering demons, tormentors of mankind. The corruption spreads even after the flesh is gone. Do you see it now? Hell was created for the angels, but humanity, by inheritance, carries their shadow. And though our destiny was never meant to be their prison, every time we choose violence, deception, corruption, we step closer to their chains. Enoch's vision is not meant to entertain. It is meant to awaken, to tear away the illusion that sin is simply choice without consequence, to show us that sin has roots, ancient roots, that lead to a fire we were never meant to touch. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine it. A world where angels walk among men, teaching secrets too heavy for human souls. A world drowning in violence. A world crying out for judgment. That was then. And yet, doesn't it sound like now? This is why the Book of Enoch terrifies. Because it is not simply about fallen angels. It is about fallen men, walking in their footsteps, unaware that the same prison burns at the edge of their destiny. And as we move to the final vision, you will see. The story does not end with angels in chains. It ends with the judgment of all, heaven, earth, angel, and man. And there, in the fire, the question will no longer be, who was hell made for, but rather, who chose to follow them here? And then, Enoch is shown the end, the final act, the day when all hidden things are revealed, when every secret that was buried in the shadows rises to the surface. Picture it, the heavens trembling, the earth shaking, the mountains melting like wax before fire, the stars themselves falling from the sky, stripped of their light, and in the center of it all, a throne, burning with glory, surrounded by fire that does not consume, but purifies, judges, divides. The angels who fell are dragged forward, chained, trembling. Their once brilliant faces now hollow, emptied of all pride. The watchers who taught men to sin now stand before the judge of all, and their sentence is not debated. It has already been sealed. The abyss awaits them. The fire that was prepared long ago stretches out its hands, and Enoch sees humanity gathered as well. Every soul, every nation, every generation, the living and the dead, the great and the small. And then the terrifying truth is revealed. Those who clung to the teachings of the Watchers, those who embraced violence, deception, and corruption, those who became disciples of forbidden knowledge, will share the same fate. This is the turning point, because now you realize hell was made for the angels, yes, but men who walk in their shadow, who love their ways, who repeat their sins, are not innocent bystanders. They become part of the same rebellion, and judgment has no favorites. Imagine the silence in that moment. Imagine standing before eternity with the weight of every choice pressing on your soul, the chains prepared for angels now reaching for you, the fire made for them now burning at your feet, and the question ringing louder than thunder. Whose side did you choose? But Enoch's vision is not only terror. Hidden within it is a hope, because not all are condemned. The righteous are lifted, preserved, written into the book of life. Enoch sees them shining like stars, dwelling in light, free from the corruption that poisoned the earth. They are those who refuse to bow to the shadow, who chose virtue over violence, truth over deception, faith over fear. So listen closely. The Book of Enoch is not just ancient myth. It is a mirror held before humanity. It shows us where sin comes from, why destruction follows it, and what awaits those who refuse to let go. It tells us plainly, hell was never meant for you. But if you choose the path of the Watchers, you choose their destiny too. And now the choice rests heavy. You cannot ignore it. You cannot escape it. The abyss is real. The fire burns. The chains are waiting. But so too is the light, an eternal kingdom beyond the shadows for those who dare to turn away from the forbidden path. So I ask you, when the final day comes, when the heavens tremble and the earth melts, when the angels stand in chains before the throne, where will you stand? In the fire of their prison, or in the light they abandoned? The Book of Enoch reveals the truth, a truth buried for centuries, a truth most fear to face. Hell was made for the angels who taught us to sin, but only you decide whether their chains will one day be your chains.